Hey, beautiful people. I am very anime nerd. I am very overthinker. I've been watching What's it called? Battlefront? Battlefront. BBB. The anime. Recently. Blood. Battlefield Frontier. Battlefront Blood. Blockade Battlefront. Um, recently. And yeah, I tend to really overthink um, these song openings, these anime lyrics, but it's fun. Mm. And I'm thinking I'll give this a go and share my thoughts, my wildly, weirdly overthinking, halfway philosophical thoughts. Let's go. So, first line: upon opening the door, I found a twisted noontime evening. So we'll see this theme a couple of times. Noontime evening does change up, turn into morning, and maybe something else. Upon opening opening the door is like so like this symbolism seems like in animes often about like new beginnings or like maybe even this song reminds me of like how the character conceptualizes the everyday, like just like starting a day, like coming into the day. So that's about like the door opening, or it might be like new opportunities, something like that in the life, or opening the door for the external world, maybe perhaps in a very philosophical sense, which also might mm, play into the theme. It's a really good song, though. How did I get home yesterday? My body is the only thing I'm sure of. Um, so this might be interpreted as just like a person being I don't know, uh, not mentally well or like drunk AF or something, and just like maybe waking up with a hangover or something, and or just being overworked, knowing it's Japan or something, and just like in the clarity of the moment in the morning where you don't have too many thoughts in your head, just feeling like a very Descartesian, like not I think therefore I am, but like I sense myself here and like there's a body, therefore I am. Good morning. So this is where it changes from noon evening to good morning. So it like shows a cycle to the day, shows like it's like repetition of every day. Um, I think this is a theme to many anime song lyrics that reflect on how the drab every day, how every boring every day can be sort of reconceptualized as like um, from the like taking a um, perspective that's like introspective perspective, like stepping on a side and like seeing what would it mean, like if I just breathe in, breathe out, let out a sigh, and think like, how would I describe these things that happen to me? Like this morning, this lunch, this evening, and that's a day, and then next day it repeats, and like, what's the meaning of this? Like it's a philosophical kind of way to think, and especially when you have some sort of issues, maybe like um, with the work being a bit too much, you might really think like about what's the meaning behind it, or you just wax philosophical, I guess. I'll anyway. The next legs, I'll carry on with being lost once more. Mm, yeah, this does also invoke a feeling of a daily repetition. Also talks to who the animes are targeted towards. Usually, anime watchers are a bit seeking like escapism, and a bit like questioning the everyday life, and the feeling of getting lost might ring a bell. And also, like it makes sense. It's a human experience, like existentialism and philosophies before people were being anime nerds or escapists was a thing. It's a very human thing to feel like carrying all while being lost, um, not knowing that there's like an ultimate truth or like something like that to the world. That there's like some sort of futility or inconsistency, or knowing that there's no like final saying or authority. Maybe there's no God. Come to a realization, and you need to create your own meaning. So, like being on a pendulum between these kind of thoughts might be described as being lost. So, like this is an existentialist vibe. Among the unknown sights that have become so familiar. So, I might think of this in a couple of different ways. So, how can unknown sights have become familiar? First option is that the person is in this like anime world and sees like these also the fantastical things happen like every day, and they become familiar. This is like a surface level, like kind of like a straightforward interpretation. The other would be like that maybe speaks to the people living in this non-anime world a bit more, that like if you don't like fully um, know stuff in the world, like there's so much stuff that you like cannot possibly know, and like truth value is fuzzy for like most of our experiences. So all of the things you familiarly see and like has this repetition throughout every single day, they're still unknowns. They feel like almost drably familiar, but they're still like essentially unknown. After I figured all was lost, I've been getting by somehow. Yeah, it talks to a people with some like mental health complexities or like um, challenges, because yeah, which is quite usual nowadays, and maybe to humans usual, like all in all. So like feeling all is lost. This does happen to us like once in a while in life, even if like you can't give an objective claim that all is lost or whatever. Like, can you give any objective claim? But anyway, but still being able to deal with it, and also this like imagery shows of like people just going through this like masses of people just doing their everyday stuff, getting by, even though like lots of these people have probably at some point in their lives thought that all is lost, and been in a mental pit, and still somehow gotten through, or like gotten through this every day, this repetition, and there's some hope in that. There's some beauty in that, because overcoming this dynamic between the hopelessness that sometimes would arise, and finding, maybe overcoming it to actually getting by, or even like maybe getting help from it being repetitive. Maybe this getting by itself, this like existence without some sort of fantastical peaks, maybe this itself is calming and will get you out of this pit. Somewhat embarrassed to be tough enough to still be alive. Yeah, this also kind of speaks to this, maybe Japanese mentality. Yeah, so like just a quick disclaimer, I know these are rough translations, but I'm still going by them. Somewhat embarrassed to be tough enough to still be alive. Hey, cat. Somewhat embarrassed. That's a nice way of putting it. It's not like total embarrassment. It's a very like normal kind of embarrassment. Somewhat embarrassed, not making yourself like a, like, I don't know, huge victim, or like huge. This is not like um, pathologically catastrophizing. This is being somewhat embarrassed to be tough enough. So that's like a slight contradiction. One would say, to be tough enough, what's there to be embarrassed about, right? But tough enough to still be alive. So like one could think that yeah, as I said, it might be a cultural thing, but like if you see the many people who do give up on life, and if you see yourself like managing through life, being tough enough to still be alive, to get through the hardships, etc., like that would possibly make you embarrassed in face of the people who you might describe it as made that choice to let go. And like, are you, in being strong enough, posing yourself as better than them, or something like that? It's like, obviously it's not a way of thought that's like healthy, but it's understandable. It's interesting. It just reflects on how many people actually do give up, and it's actually kind of beautiful that you're not overly confident in your um, being able to make do and survive and be good with life. You're not fully like you still have a sort of reflection on that itself, because otherwise you might feel or be a bit too like arrogantly confident, maybe masking some sort of other areas or issues or things, like the fact that there are many people who don't make it through the struggle. I know what I have to do, even if I forget. Okay, so might mean several things. I like these songs because they always have so much room for interpretation. So the interpretation part itself is kind of neat. I kind of love the process, but I think it's nice to reflect once in a while. Anyway, I know what I have to do, even if I forget. Also, like a seemingly contradictive statement, knowing what to do, even if you've forgotten. How can you know something that you've forgotten? It like one possibility is that the knowing is like a more deep knowledge, like something you bodily even know, like waking up automatically, brushing your teeth, something that you don't need to like actively remember that. Um, and the other is that like if you have like some sort of value or meaning to life that you sometimes either forget, you might think that deep inside, even if you do forget it like explicitly, this would still keep you going. Otherwise, things become so agonizing. Yeah, that plays into the last claim I had about the meaning of life, keeping you going, whatever it is, like a conviction of it inside, even if you don't like explicitly think of it. Otherwise, yeah, without this focal point, you might the feeling lost would maybe go towards a critical point where you actually do give up on life and the hardships. Look up to see someone with big black eyes. Yeah, maybe talking about some sort of person they find a connection to, or like just I don't know, anime characters have big black eyes sometimes, big eyes. That's psychologically kind of comforting. That's a surface level. I think, yeah, probably not a line with too much meaning to it, but it is nice to sometimes recognize the very subtle ways these like everyday interactions or just like looking at someone might bring you to the moment, and being in the moment is like in a meditative way a nice way um, to actually gather your concentration, to actually feel alive. I think that's healthy. Finding a deeper stability in everyday small interactions and the contact with the other person. It's because I saw you that this light came to be. Yeah, okay, so this other person is clearly someone important to them. Like, okay, maybe, it could still be that the other person is a random person. They're not like deeply connected, but it more or less goes into the story of like this other person really being there for them, and there was light that came to be through this interaction, through this other. And also it plays to the anime's theme of him having the light of seeing, the like God's eyes or whatever. Surrounded by a world painted in colors of my choosing. So existentialist thought and 20th century philosophical thought, and like from Nietzsche even, does lead you to think that like so much of the world is like perspective based. Like perspectivism was a thing for Nietzsche. I'm not an expert on Nietzsche, but still. So even stuff like colors and sense states are like from many philosophers, like I don't know, Hume or something. you could say is like a property of the natural world, colors. But like actually, like the first things like we could refer to modern science that probably, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but says that it's more of like a function in your brain that makes you see the color, differentiate the spectrum in a way that we do. Not so much. Not so much that these colors are a natural property of the world, but it's a way to interpret the natural world. But the other way is just to understand that the colors themselves are a metaphor for values or like feelings, or like many times you like describe the world or your moods or experience, personal experience, as being painted in colors, and then the world that you see is painted in colors, but like of my own choosing. So as there is a very strong subjective component to this, choice though implies a kind of free will. But yeah, this existentialist thought from 20th century, maybe 19th, did propose that the will, I don't know, will to power or whatever, will itself and people's subjective self was like, is in a way the only thing that makes up values. There's no like outside, probably no like outside authority or source of these values, like morality or whatever. And also like emotions, you often like lean into and kind of support these reactions and emotions to the outside world that you get emotionally. You like throughout time build up a way to react emotionally, to like be like that, and to like see these colors, and these are in a wide general way of your choosing. Like in Stoicism, the main one of the main theses or theses that's a bad word to mispronounce. One of the main tenets is that like so many of the emotions you feel, so many of the reactions, so many of the also negative reactions you have to the world might not be good to develop, and you might be able to like thoughtfully, reflectively make yourself react less negatively or less like or more optimally to stuff that happens to you that's outside of your control. Anyway, lots of rambling, but let's go on. I like this. And this is also like a in slight contradiction with the last statement. There's a lot of contradictions, but that's what's cool about art. There's contrast, you know. So where do I find meaning in the scars I could not choose? So the last bit kind of referred to you choosing these colors that paint the world, but now it refers to scars that I did not choose. So first thing I could like think of the colors as being like a positive thing, and these like scars being like a negative or something like that, and yeah, I guess it's really difficult to like logic yourself out of it, that like just shit happens in the world and you get stuck with situations that might harm you and might leave scars to you, like maybe a bad childhood or whatever, and this was not your choice. And how to now find meaning in that, like it's the like basic counter argument to like a god existing or there being like meaningful religion that there's just so much random shit and bad stuff happening in the world, and how to actually still not lose faith in like some sort of meaning. It doesn't need to be faith based. That doesn't, or like religion based, but how to still retain that meaning while not denying that there are these random events that cause suffering and pain and scars. So like where do I find meaning in the scars I could not choose? Like some sort of philosophers, like, again, I'm not an expert, like I haven't really read much at all of Nietzsche, but like the first thought that comes into mind is that like the kind of butchered quote of "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger," blah blah blah. But like there's sort of some sort of value to thinking like that. So there's many possible answers, but this is a nice juxtaposition of like. Let's go back for a moment. Being surrounded by colors in the world, referring to like a world outside myself, but these colors are painted by my choosing. And scars maybe on yourself that I did not choose. And now, like, how to find meaning in that? How does that not tear you apart, Lisa? In the heart of a world where only I am the hero. So, like, this doesn't need to come down to solipsism per se. This doesn't need to say that, like, oh, I am the only person in the world, because, like, I cannot, like, 100% guarantee that other people exist, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's some sort of philosophical thought about that, not like kind of trivial-ish, but the more like nuanced way of thinking that holds weight in like a sort of phenomenological style of thinking is that for sure a person who experiences the world is veiled by his or her own experience, the veil of experience, the veil of consciousness, the veil of yourself being bordered. There being a clear distinction between you yourself and not being able to reach from yourself to directly to that like outside world. What I mean is that like you can never fully know what's it like to be another person. You can never fully understand like outside yourself anything because you are boxed in, so to say, by our experience. So this can refer to like being a heart of a world where only I am the hero. This can refer to delusion like thinking, where like you're thinking yourself as like the hero, but there's still like worries in the world and scars, etc. It could also just mean that every day you wake up, you're the center of it. It cannot be any different. And this supports this. I'm on stage, appearing in every scene until then. Maybe harking back to the Shakespearean quote of life's a stage, and we are all actors. So yeah, from your perspective, and you cannot go outside that perspective. You appear in every scene. You are the scene, or what makes the scene. or at least your experience veils it, um, frames it. What do I do? I can't even pretend to be empty. So I'm reminded of a video that what's the guy's called? I was making weird small articles against some of the points that this guy made. The YouTube philosopher. Mm, what has what was his name? Um, the guy who was formerly vegan but then decided that because there were like vegan bodybuilders that veganism doesn't work or something. That's a anecdotal telling of it, but it was a weird. I'm also playing with my cat at the same time. Anyway, uh, Alex O'Connor. Alex O'Connor did a YouTube video about like I tried nihilism for a year or something like that, and it harkens back to that. Even if you like rationally think that like there's no fixed meaning, that means that like my own meaning isn't good enough maybe, and like if there's nothing no authority on these like values etc, that like objectively there's no meaning. My response on that would be like, why do you care about rocks in the sky or like the cosmos being valueless, like yourself, like why do you even need to consider values outside yourself? That's the human experience. But yeah, what do I do? I can't even pretend to be empty. So yeah, this harkens back to like some sort of also anecdotal Jordan Peterson quotes that you can't really be nihilist, you can't really be atheist, whatever. Like he just uses it as a rhetorical device to be this preacher guy, but and I don't really like that sort of. I would say pseudo intellectualism, even though he is very smart. But there's a truth to it, even if you like just having the perspective, the like thought line, the existence you have, even thinking about like there being no meaning, etc. He got. He would have just landed on the video camera, which might have been okay. Anyway, yeah, just you having that existence, even if the content of the existence is pretending to be empty or nihilist or whatever, you still have that existence. Like that's like a Descartesian way, maybe, but to understand it. But I think it holds true. That to be like 100% nihilist is maybe impossible. So it's a weird thing that people like really want to pretend to be that sometimes, or like are attracted to that idea that the cosmos doesn't have values and so our values don't matter, and like this kind of thinking is really really curious. Why does that exist? Sort of self-negation that's appealing. Why though? Maybe it offers some sort of solace. Maybe dealing with your emotions can be a bit too much, so you imagine a world where these don't have any value. I don't know. Hello, hi there, here I am. So, like, accepting your presence. I'm kind of reminded of Shinji at the end of Evangelion, where he finally like kind of comes out of his shell to like present himself to others in the world, like in this dream sequence, the dream-ish sequence. Um, so this is similar. Hello, hi there, here I am. Like this might be more a profound thing than it seems. Anime songs can be a really nice source of I don't know, interpretative thinking. I dig that. There might not be a final truth about like, do these songs actually have this meaning or not? It, for all I care, it doesn't matter even whether the director of these videos or these songs meant these things. It still has these meanings, at least if you allow some interpretation and allow some free flowing thought, which I really dig. And it's a great song as well. Anime songs in general, really great. Kind of touch on upon these like themes of the modern human being trapped in the everyday. But yeah, enough of this rambling. Cheers. The song will end now, right? Right? So yeah, that was this song about self-realization, about coping with the everyday life. Maybe not. Maybe it's a random song. Who knows? But really, really don't understand the people who are so sure and adamantly claim that these sort of like songs and this sort of like interpretation does not objectively have any meaning, and kind of disallow for giving like symbolist anime and like this kind of weird opening songs a serious thought. Like they disregard that, and I find that to be that to be odd. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, evening, whatever. Ciao.